You're watching UATV News. My name is Inna Kosinska. Good evening. The second day of Volodymyr Zelenskyy's official visit to London has ended. Import and export development, investment attraction and technical cooperation. The President of Ukraine and the Prime Minister of Great Britain signed an agreement on free trade and strategic partnership between states. Both leaders called the agreement historical during the meeting in Downing Street.
Our commitment to Ukraine is rock solid. We're with you 100%.
Thank you very much, and for your support of sovereignty of the Ukraine, especially now when we see the aggression from Russia with the Crimean question and with the war on Donbass. So thank you for Great Britain, thank you Prime Minister for your strong position.
Ukraine has stepped over a new maximum in the coronavirus statistics over the past day, plus 5,397 cases. A new anti-record was registered for the number of deaths, 93 victims. More information about the regions with the highest incidence rate and the situation in hospitals further in the report.
Kharkiv, Odesa, Sumy, Dnipro regions and the city of Kyiv. These are the leaders in the number of new COVID-19 cases. But even with the growing incidence, the Ministry of Health does not consider the introduction of a full lockdown.
I understand we cannot take measures some European countries have already taken. For instance, Israel, that introduced a full lockdown for 14 days due to the increase in the number of patients. Why is it being introduced? Because we need to break the chain of disease transmission. I understand the conditions we'll all live in. We need the working economy. People should work and earn money because they need to live somehow.
The pressure on hospitals is growing every day. They are now treating 20,000 patients with coronavirus. Over the past day, 900 people were hospitalized with a confirmed diagnosis.
The medical system has a clear border. We have a limit of reanimatologists, we have a limit of infectionists, we have a limit of physicians.
Hospitals are more than 70% full in 4 regions of the country, namely in Ivano-Frankivsk, Odesa, Luhansk and Donetsk regions. There is a need to allocate places for patients with coronavirus in other medical institutions there.
An order has been signed yesterday expanding the list of hospitals for the treatment of patients with coronavirus in the town of Pokrovsk. A multidisciplinary hospital has been added to this list today. This allows the hospital management to conclude a COVID package deal with the National Health Service of Ukraine.
Another 91 cases of coronavirus were detected in the territory of Donetsk region, which is not controlled by Ukraine. 8 people died there. In some areas of the Luhansk region, 34 new infected were registered. 1 resident died. 5,273 people were infected in the temporary occupied territories of Ukraine since the start of COVID-19 pandemic. Reported by Yulia Krychkova, UATV News.
Ukraine will be included in the program of the Global Initiative for the Availability of Vaccine against COVID-19. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy reported. He advised not to rush with Russian remedy. The World Health Organization estimates that a coronavirus vaccine may be ready for production by the end of this year. In this case, Ukraine may get it in the second half of 2021.
The European Union has confirmed that it will help Ukraine to get a real vaccine when it is ready and is not questioned by scientists. Therefore, I do advise not to trust some pre-election initiatives by some cynics who have already vaccinated themselves with untested medicine.
Dancing like the method to remind how to protect oneself from COVID-19. In Dnipro, medical college students and teachers staged a performance in the city center. Their aim is to show local residents that the epidemic cannot be ignored. Details next.
50 medical college students and teachers are dancing in the center of Dnipro. A 3-minute performance reminds how to wear masks during an epidemic, keep a distance and wash hands.
We need to inform everyone how to comply with this quarantine, because there are so many patients now, and we don't want quarantine. Our colleague, I mean.
It took them 2 weeks to prepare the dance. The main characters of the performance are the antiseptic and the mask. The disinfectant suit was custom-made. Nurses of the city hospitals have sewn a huge mask.
This is foam and ordinary disposable medical sheet. To do such a wonderful design, we took all the stuff we usually use in our work.
It's difficult to control the spread of the coronavirus in Dnipro now, doctors say. Hospitals are overcrowded, and even so, people continue ignoring safety rules.
This is a challenge for every doctor and reminder, an appeal to everyone. No medical network can withstand the situation when there is a rapid spread of the dangerous disease.
Dnipropetrovsk region is among the leaders in a number of COVID-19 cases. Over the past day, 316 patients have been registered. 238 of them are in the regional center.
In only a month, the number of COVID-19 cases tripled.
They do not plan to stage the flash mob only in Dnipro city. They want to hold it throughout the region. Vadim Kramer, Natalia Husak, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, UATV News.
Fires in the Luhansk region were caused by illegal armed groups. Photo and video evidence of this were presented to the OSCE by the Ukrainian delegation. The pictures show the contact line, the sites of shelling, the area of fire, the enemy's positions, and the direction of the wind. The representative of Ukraine also said evidence show the fire appeared in several places at the same time.
According to the results of the preliminary analysis, it can be concluded that a clear front line of the fire is fixed, both on the north and on the south side of the road, which begins in front of the positions of illegal armed groups of the Russian Federation. It is also obvious that the line of fire, which was directed at the position of the armed forces of Ukraine and threatened the civilian population of Popasna, begins at the level of the checkpoint of Russian armed groups on the highway T-0504, which can be seen in the photos. "70,000 people became refugees due to shelling in the unrecognized Republic of Nagorno-Karabakh. This is half of the population, the Commissioner for Human Rights of the region stated. Residential buildings have turned into ruins, as the result of which people got homeless. Shelling of the settlements continues for the second week in a row. They're shelling a peaceful city, peaceful people. For this reason, we cannot live in our apartments. We live in the cellar. It's the 11th day that we have spent in the cellar, but our government helps. They sent us aid, food supplies to those who cannot leave the cellar. We don't have electricity, but we have a good supply of candles. We have water and everything. The only thing which is missing is knowledge of what is going on outside." The European Union does not exclude further escalation of the conflict between Yerevan and Baku, as well as the involvement of third countries in it, due to the flow of misinformation about the events in Nagorno-Karabakh. EU High Representative Josep Borrell said this at the meeting of the European Parliament.
OSCE monitoring on the ground remains suspended, so we don't have observers. But what we observe is an increasing amount of disinformation, which is aimed at mobilizing the domestic audiences in both countries and could be used to pull regional actors into the conflict.
The fleet of social taxis has been replenished in Dnipro. These cars, there are 5 of them so far, will be used for people with disabilities. Minibuses with electric elevators transport people to hospitals, social service institutions or to a bank. The service is free of charge for 650 people. Previously, it was only possible to call a taxi 3 times a month. Given the expansion of the car park, people will be able to go around on business more often.
It is just great. Life has become much more comfortable for people with these convenient services. When you need to go somewhere, you just call a taxi and they deliver you to the place you need. Very simple.
This is a real car with a very long wheelbase. It can take on board several people at a time. There is a powerful hoist here. Accordingly, the elevator will be able to take up more than 200 kilograms. A fare for a dream to come true. In Odesa, children with disabilities are raising money to open their own coffee shop. They make handmade souvenirs and sell them. Our team spoke with future baristas and confectioners.
A fair with New Year's souvenirs appeared unusually early in the city park. The young people are selling wooden figurines they made with their own hands.
This is a joint work with my dad. Here's a Christmas tree. I helped Dad making twigs, and I really love these activities.
These guys and girls have difficult diagnoses, but they do not give up. They dream of their own business. We want to open a coffee shop. I want to be a waiter. And there are guys who want to be a cook, some want to be assistants or hold master classes. They want to invest in the cafe the money raised at the fair. Volunteers help to raise funds and parents will run the business.
We
are bringing people who will both accompany and do the main work, but our children can do basic work, for example, being waiters or helping at the kitchen. They can do a lot.
They hope to fully start their project by the end of the year. Reported by Roman Smoler, Anna Gorodentseva, Arsen Podosyan, Odesa, UATV News.
The fattest bear of the year was chosen in Alaska. Such a vote is held annually by the Katmai National Park and Reserve. This year, the title went to a bear named 747. This name he received in honor of Boeing plane because of its large size. According to the press service of the park, 747 really gained a lot of extra pounds this year. On average, Katmai bears weigh about 450 kilograms. They are not weighted, but their dimensions are assessed by eye. That's all for this hour. More updates on our Facebook, Twitter and YouTube pages. Stay safe and good night.